What is up, guys? Welcome to the first official Leaf podcast episode. And today's guest, guys, I had to bring on one of the most influential, one of the most interesting figures on the internet in the cannabis space, Callie Green. He's here with us to answer some questions and make sure that when you guys listen to this episode, you guys subscribe to the podcast so you guys can hear future episodes. And without saying anything else, let's get straight into it. First things first, Callie Green, we spoke a little bit off camera, but for those of the people who don't know you, can you just give me a sense of, who are you, bro? How did you end up here? And just a quick rundown of who you are.
Who am I? Okay, well, I'm just a regular dude, man, living in San Fernando Valley, growing in a spare bedroom. Pretty much, nothing special. That's the least special person you'll ever meet. So.
I don't think you should be so hard on yourself, bro. I feel like I'll be a straight up a vouch for you that you've taught millions of people how to grow their own medicine, bro. And that's something that a lot of people can't say, but yeah. And I know what you mean. So why don't you show your face, bro? Another question I have for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started doing this shit back in 2012. Yeah. And back then, I mean, the laws were relaxed or whatever, but, there's a stigma behind weed. You know what I mean? It's kind of dissolving now, but in 2012, it was still kind of, it was looked down upon. And if you look back at those videos from back then, not a lot of people showed their faces. So that's when I started, and that's the way it was going. But then from that, it led to something else. I got a job, and I can't really be showing my face because it's one of those jobs where I just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's the main reason.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the biggest things that turns people away from this industry or just even the community is that stigma that you talk about, where people think smoking cannabis is terrible. And I totally understand why you don't show your face. And I think it's very prevalent on the older generations as well that lived through those horrific, tough times when cannabis was super illegal. So
yeah, man,
I could already imagine it. Like you get like a sick feeling in your stomach just knowing that everyone knows that you're growing, just because of how you almost have like PTSD. I could almost imagine, to some people.
I think you put it right, man. It's PTSD. But if you think about it, man, if you got caught with weed or if you got caught with a pipe back in the day, you'd be doing a little bit of time. You'd go to jail maybe, and then you'd have to, have to pay a fine. And yeah, it was tougher back then. And I think you hit it right on the nail there when you say PTSD, but.
Yeah, bro, it's definitely PTSD. I can kind of relate it to my parents because they're Hispanic background, and at one point they didn't have papers, but now they do. But even now that they have papers, when they see the border patrol, it's like they get cold, like they lived through that time when it was like hella illegal, and now that they have papers and everything's good, they still have that in them where they can't get past that, and it's understandable, Yeah. Did you ever go to prison for cannabis?
No, never have. I was never arrested for weed or anything like that. Yeah. But there's plenty of people that I knew that did some time for it, and it's fucked up, right? Because I mean,
super
now
fucked up.
Everybody fucking smokes weed. You got, before, back in the day, there was like certain type of people that would smoke weed and grow weed and were associated with it. But nowadays, man, you got like everybody smoking weed, and
bro, everyone smokes
way different.
Weed. Yeah. It's way, way different. And I mean, that's kind of what people like yourself, one day wish to see, and it's finally come to fruition where it's not even like so stigmatized, although it is, but it's not really like at that level yet. But yeah. I know that you smoked weed, bro. How did you get into growing? Like, how did you make that transition from I'm smoking weed? I know you mentioned that you started smoking because you got some sort of injury, right?
Yeah, no, it's natural. I mean, I was smoking way before that. It's just natural. If you fucking smoke weed, you're interested in fucking growing weed. At some point you probably thought about growing weed if you've been smoking weed long enough. It's just like a natural progression, I think. Eventually you're going to do it. But no, I mean, I started smoking weed. The first time I smoked weed, I was probably too young to even mention it.
Yeah.
We're in Southern California. It's all around us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, just I was always interested in it. I popped my first seed when I was like 15 years old. I didn't really do much with it,
Yeah.
but I didn't really start growing until maybe 2012 is when
2012.
I just decided just to go for it. And uh, it had a lot to do with an injury that I had. I hurt my back,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point I hadn't smoked for a long time either, because I mean, everybody smokes in high school or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually I stopped smoking. And at this particular time in life, I had a job, I was holding down a job, and I hurt my back, and I was like taking all these medicines and shit and
Mm-hmm.
meds, and it was fucked up. So I mean, I just thought, shit, I'm gonna smoke some weed. And
Do you remember what strain it was?
yeah, train
Train.
wreck, and green crack were my
Mm-hmm.
strains.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say that fucking sativas, they're not good for pain relief, right? They're just like kind of like an up high and shit. And
Mm-hmm.
most people recommend like indicas or whatever, but I think sativas work for pain.
I believe it, bro. Honestly, because like today, actually, I seen have you heard of Mass Medical, the breeder?
No, I haven't.
Well, he posted something that was interesting to me. Was that like um that he said I like breeding sativas because it actually gets you high, as opposed to indica where it's just like slumped and like you're chill. And I never really thought about it like that, where it's like sativas actually do make you trip out and like have that psychedelic experience. So I could
Yeah.
see how that would remove at least your brain is not thinking about pain; it's just thinking about like other stuff.
That's exactly what it is too. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not even just that it removes pain, because it never really removed all the pain for me. It made it easier. Like it's like maybe, I couldn't touch my toes at some point when I was sober, but I'd smoke some weed and then I'd be like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck, I'm just gonna touch my toes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mental thing too, right? Like
Yeah.
it numbs the pain a little bit, but it allows you to do things that you can't do if you
Yeah.
weren't. So.
Exactly. So I know I was gonna ask, when was the first time you smoked, but obviously it was very young. So how long have you been smoking now? Would you say like how long?
Well, since probably 2012 again.
2012. That's when
Yeah,
you restarted, huh?
yeah. So, but
Cool.
before that, it was like all through high school, and but
All right. And then can you speak a little bit about the triathlon? Like I kind of understand what it is. It's basically like a really extensive long marathon, right? Like a physical challenge. But like, why were you doing that? Like, what was the
no,
purpose behind that?
this one was it was a small one. That's the only
Oh,
reason
the
I was
small one.
doing it. Yeah,
Oh, it sounds like it's 3 times as long as a marathon. That's why I'm like,
this
damn,
was
dude, this one must be super fit.
well, no, I mean, so they got the big ones, right? They got the ones where you're fucking swimming for like 2 miles and shit,
Yeah,
and running
that's what
for
I
like.
imagine.
Yeah. But they got this little small one up here in Hanson Dam up here in the San Fernando Valley, and
Mm,
it's a little pond and shit. It's like 800 meters, and then
yeah.
you run for like, I can't even remember. I think it was like a 3K, and then you bike, or you bike and then you run.
Hmm.
But I just wanted to do it. It was my brother does it, and his wife do it, so it's kind of fun to do stuff like that, and just decided to do it, and just went too hard, I guess. Fucked
I
up
can
my back.
imagine.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's something that I actually enjoy a lot is like exercising, and I think a lot of people, the stigma behind cannabis use still excludes those people that are physically active. So, if,
Bro.
like everyone thinks you're lazy or something like that when we're
Yeah.
some of the most active people. There was like a recent study that came out that said that like cannabis consumers exercise more than regular people. So
Bro, it's like
interesting.
so much better. Like if you go on a run and shit, while you smoke some weed, go on a run, it's
Yeah, hell yeah.
fucking lift some weights and shit. It's
Yeah,
the best, man.
it is. It
Go on
is.
a hike and shit.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, another thing I was gonna ask you is I was going through your Instagram, right? I mean, I've been going through it, but I also noticed that you were posting a lot of like a lot of videos of old school growers on YouTube that I guess you said it influenced you. You were inspired. Like you also start documenting my grows, and
Yeah.
can you just go down the list of like who influenced you as a grower?
Yeah. So back in 2012, I mean, there wasn't that many people on there doing it. Um, uh, you had a lot of guys that were doing like point and shoot. They had their little cameras or whatever, and they'd be talking about it and moving around and doing the thing or whatever. But they weren't really documenting grows. Um, what stood out to me was what was the name of that company? I can't even think of the name right now. But there's a seed company.
Mm-hmm.
It's really really famous. Seed company. The guy died. I think his name's Arjan, and can't remember the other guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
The Greenhouse Seed Company.
Oh, greenhouse. Oh yeah. Franco and Arjan, the greenhouse. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
those guys. So
Uh-huh.
those guys had some videos from like way back in 2010 and 29, maybe before that. But they were, I don't remember what the series were called, but what they were doing is they were growing
Strain
out
hunters.
their Strain Hunters was afterwards. But
Oh.
before that, there was a series where these guys were tracking their grow from start to finish. They start that, they talk about their strain, and then what was really cool is they had at the bottom of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
it showed like the temperature, the EC. They were feeding them salts or salt based nutrients or whatever, which was cool. But they had like the EC and the temperature and the pH, and then they would just track the grows from start to finish, and at the end they would harvest and show you their harvest, their weight. And that was, I think that was a big influence right there. I love those videos. I love watching those videos. But if you have a chance to check that out, man, check that out.
Honestly, I think I've seen some that are. It's just basically a still shot of the plant just going through its phase, and then on the left side, there's like all the numbers, like day and all that. I think I've seen those before, but damn, that's really interesting, bro. That back in 2012.
Yeah, no, I mean, way
That's
before
the
that.
beginning, bro. That's the
Yeah,
beginning. That's the beginning
yeah.
of all these YouTubers that are coming out now. And,
Well, I mean,
it took a lot, to foresee it, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
a lot of the guys that were doing it back then, they're not around anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a guy called Grow Green
Mm-hmm.
Kron or some shit like that. I can't remember this guy's name, but he used to paint his face green and shit. And
Yeah.
he'd wear a bucket hat and behind he whispering all the time and shit.
Yeah.
There's that guy. And there was another video that was produced in the Netherlands. I can't remember the name of that video either. This is sorry, I can't remember any of the names.
Nah, you're cool.
Probably I'll email them to you or whatever. But he this guy went through the whole grow as well. He set up the tent, not the tent. I'm sorry, the room,
Yeah.
and the whole thing. So there was a few guys doing it back then.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them didn't survive past 2016, 2017 when YouTube really started cracking down on cannabis channels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few guys that are still around. There's a guy named Medgrower MD.
Mm-hmm.
You know that guy, Med1?
I don't, but I know there's a lot, but I mean, the biggest ones that come to mind, I'm kind of the new generation of growers, the new generation of people in the scene, I guess you could say. And like the people that stick out like a sore thumb are you, obviously, Cali Green, Mr. Canucks. And like those two are honestly probably like, in my opinion, the ones that are being pushed by the YouTube algorithm and just have the best content. So all the other smaller channels, I do see them from time to time, but I just haven't been able, I haven't been able to like sit down and watch their videos entirely like how I watched yours. Like yours are just like perfect in my opinion.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah. But let's get into a little bit about grower now, like grower related questions. I know, like, as far as I can tell, you're an organic grower, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, why? Like, what's the reason behind growing organically? I know a lot of like new growers. They're always focused on like, I want the highest yield, highest THC, and their mindset of most of the time, and it was for me as well, was the more I pump it with stuff, the more I'm gonna produce. So
Yeah.
like, talk to me a little bit about like why you're an organic grower. Like, is there like a moral standpoint behind it, or is it more like based on the planet, or is it more based on just, what's the reason?
Yeah, I mean, you can get big yields, you can get potent yields. You don't need, salt-based nutrients to do that. You can do it with organics too. I think a lot of people have ideas about things and talk about things, but they don't really know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as like getting the most quality, that's I don't know. I think that growing organically has better taste,
Mm-hmm.
better smell.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I started growing was purely accident, organically. And anyway, it was
Mm-hmm.
purely accident. When I first started growing, I was doing it in cocoa, uh, 2-gallon pots, and I was using Fox Farm hydroponic nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
pHing down to 6.0. And during that time, there was some soils that were coming out. Roots Organic was one of them. Fox Farm was the other. And I was kind of curious about these. I didn't know much, you know what I mean? So I was just kind of curious to see how good they were. And
Yeah.
what I decided to do was I decided to grow a plant in Fox Farm Ocean Forest, and another one in Roots Organic, and another one in Miracle Grow.
Mm.
And the plan was just to give them water and see what happens, which one would die first.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't die. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? You know, because I didn't pH the water. I didn't give them any nutrients. I just gave them water, and I didn't understand it. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Why am I using nutrients when I can just give these plants? I mean, they had deficiencies, but I harvested,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, that led me into reading about different things, and there wasn't really much information, because wording is everything, right? Like if you Google shit, or if you're looking shit up, you got to have the right wording. And if you don't understand what the fuck's going on, then you don't know what to look for.
Yeah.
But eventually, what really opened it up for me is I started giving the plants. I tried it again, and I started giving the plants aquarium water,
Mm.
and the aquarium water worked even better.
When you mean aquarium water, you mean like water that where fishes were in there?
Yeah, that's right.
Where'd you get that water from?
I had an aquarium.
Oh, what kind of fish did you have in there? If you remember,
I had some cichlids, and some fucking some crayfish and shit. But yeah, but you have to change the water once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on the size of your tank or whatever. I have a smaller tank.
Yeah.
So I would take the water, and I started watering the plants with that, and I noticed that they liked it, man. I noticed that they were lush and green, and they were healthy, and I was like, wait a minute, so I started researching that, and that brought me to what the fuck, I can't even remember what it's called. It's not aquaponics. It's a form of hydroponics, but it's with fish, and I can't really remember the name right now.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though. I've heard about it as well. Yeah, basically, it's the fish poop, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much, but it's not just the poop, though. It's like the bacteria. Bacteria it plays a big role. But that pretty much led me from there. There was permaculture, which is outdoor. Everything was outdoor, permaculture and living organics and all this other shit. And I came across a book called Teaming with Microbes.
Yeah.
And that's really what opened everything up for me, where I realized, like, well, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is the reason why it works. This is the reason why I don't need a pH. This is the reason why it's growing without me adding any salt-based nutrients or any bottled nutrients, So that's really what opened everything up for me. Pure accident, man. Nothing
Damn. Well,
that I planned out.
Do you ever plan on growing with salts? Like part of your YouTube channel, do you ever plan on like showing people how to grow with salts, or do you just not believe in salts? Because there's a lot of people that are like, I'm totally against salts. I think it's wrong for the plant. I think it's wrong for people to smoke that. Like, do you see yourself growing with salts?
I'm not against it at all. It's so when the plants, they eat minerals. I mean, they don't eat, but they absorb mineral nutrients, right? Ions. And when you're growing organically, the way that these minerals are created are by bacteria, breaking down organic matter. So if you got, like, let's say like some back guano, right? You have bacteria, microbes, fungi, whatever the fuck you pronounce it, tearing this shit down and breaking it down into a simple form where the plant can absorb it, and the plant absorbs it with the water. And when you're dealing with salt-based nutrients, those are mineral ions as well, but they're just created differently. Like it's not a bacterial function. It's not an organic function. It's pretty much like a chemical function where they're breaking down other elements to create, that mineral, but it's still a mineral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't have an issue with it. I think there's guys that grow with salt-based nutrients in soil. And I guess that's cool because the soil buffers but then they try to feed their soil microbes and things like that, and I'm like, yo, what's the point? Because you're already, I guess you can go both ways. I guess I don't know. There's, everybody grows differently, but
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned is like you ask 20 growers how to grow and they all give you 20 different answers. So it's just a matter of your own
whatever works.
recipe, whatever works for you. And it's like an art and a science, like how they say.
Yeah, yeah. But when you get to the science of it, like, so if you're growing with salts, right,
Hmm.
and so salts are instantly available as soon as they're within pH, right? So you grow with salts, you grow with chemical fertilizers.
I've tried both and I
Yeah,
like the organic growing. I think
it's easier.
it's easier for me.
Yeah,
And I don't know, I just like
feel
the
the same
whole
way.
concept of being organic,
I like
like,
the idea too, dude. I'm
I,
not gonna lie about that. I like the idea of it being organic too.
so like
Yeah.
that's just what I've done. But eventually, I want to expand my knowledge and I do want to learn about salts and how it works and how to really produce like basically like maybe not like the best tasting weed because I do agree that organic weed tastes better than like indoor and all that, but I do want to like try growing it all the way through just to see the results and compare it myself.
I feel like fertilizer companies they've lied to us though.
About what?
About everything. Like, I feel like when they advertise to you, they say, well, if you use this shit, it's going to make your shit sweeter. If you use this shit, it's going to make your shit bigger.
Mm,
It's going to be, you're going to have a bigger harvest if
mm,
you use this product, which is bullshit, right? Because your plant can only express its genetics, right? Like, so if your plant can grow that big, then it's going to grow that big. But if it
mm,
can't, because of its genetics, then
mm,
no matter what the fuck you give it, whether it be, this magical fucking juice that you just purchased for
yeah.
like $150, it's not going to make it as big as this other plant that's, humongous.
Mm,
So it's all about genetics, and like the way I like to explain it is, there's a lot of dog breeders out there, but let's just use humans as an example.
mm,
So like when humans have babies, right, you get 50% of your mom's genetics, you get 50% of your dad's genetics, and within your genetics code or whatever, you have like your ancestors, right? Like people in your family, which you might have an uncle or maybe like a great grandpa that was like fucking 6 7 feet tall or whatever, right?
mm,
But it hasn't shown in your family, right? But it's in your genetics. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So if it's in your genetics, it's going to show. But if it's not going to show. So no matter if you drink milk,
Yeah,
if you eat steak, if whatever the fuck you do, it's not going to show if it's not in your genetic code.
I
So it's
understand. Yeah.
it's 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 when fertilizer companies tell you use this product, it's going to make your shit bigger. Uh
It's marketing.
it's marketing. Yeah, it's 100% marketing. It's what's going to make your plant produce the best it can produce and look the best it's going to look and smell the best it's going to smell is if it has the perfect environment, because that's what it comes down to. I
Mm,
mean, these plants like evolved, right, to grow in certain places, and uh, they need a certain environment for the functions to happen, and I'm talking about soil environment too.
mhm,
Certain types of minerals in the soil, the moisture levels and things like that. If your shit is perfect, like if your environment is perfect, including your soil environment, uh, and you have a perfect grow, you're going to have a perfect plant.
yeah.
You don't have to buy special magical juice,
Mhm,
to make that happen.
mhm.
So it's one of those things I kind of went on a rant about right there. Feel strongly about, I guess.
No, that's good,
But
man. Because I mean, you're honestly the first person that has blatantly said it. Like these nutrient companies are they're deceiving you and making you think that if you put this product, the plant's gonna give you this. But how you mentioned, like if it's not in the gene code, like how are you gonna bring that out? So
yeah,
that's very interesting, bro. Honestly, and
it's not there. It's not going to happen.
it's
But
not gonna happen. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, these minerals, right? They're going to make your plant grow. Like if you're doing hydroponics or whatever, you're going to have some kind of mineral nutrient, right? So you're going to have to use a bottle or liquid fertilizer or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, it's needed in that case. But when you're growing organically, and if you're using, organic amendments, it's really not needed.
Mm.
You can make
Okay.
your plant grow and show. its full potential without it.
Okay. So I think that's a pretty solid argument, why organic or why you decided to grow organic versus salts, but in a nutshell, you don't have any preference. I mean, well, you have an organic preference, but you don't have anything against salt, right?
Yeah, I got an organic preference. I'm gonna grow hydroponically actually in July or October. I'm setting up my my setup, but
Okay.
yeah, so I don't really have anything against it. Um, so yeah.
Cool. So who do you think taught you how to grow? Was it more like a learning experience on your own, or was there like a
Yeah,
mentor
trial
in
and
your
error.
life that taught you how to grow?
Yeah, trial and error, man. So I mean, you got to give it up to the early YouTube guys. I learned a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a book called the Cannabis Grow Bible by Jorge Cervantes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know who Jorge is.
Yeah,
He got good content. I've seen him.
that's an old school dude. He's got a
Yeah.
book though. It's called the Bible,
Mm,
and that's one of the first books that I got. And the reason why that book's so important is because that book pretty much talks about everything you need to know about growing from setup to harvest, everything.
mm,
I mean, it gets into like the stages of life, seedling, different techniques and things like that, training. I mean, it's not very detailed. It doesn't really go down into detail, but it explains it and it gives you a starting point, and it makes you so when you are practicing,
mm.
then you're aware of what's going on. So that's a big book, big influence right there.
Awesome. And why do you grow in fabric pots? I've seen that. That's you only use fabric pots. Is there a reason why?
They dry out less quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, quicker. So I don't know if there's a preference. I used to grow in plastic pots, and I don't know if there's a preference. I kind of just like that they're fabric,
Yeah.
and they let air into the root system. I don't know if there's a benefit behind it
Mm-hmm.
or not, but for living organics, when you're dealing with microbes, you want moisture and you want oxygen,
Mm.
right? And I figure that fabric pots are going to provide moisture and oxygen, so that's really the main reason why.
Okay. What about plant training? I know you do a lot of like low stress training, and I seen an Instagram post where you were talking about like you don't like to do like you don't stress plant your plants a lot. Can you just explain to me like your plant training techniques and why you do use them?
Yeah. So I top and I do a little LST, and then I use the trellis net. And the trellis net is pretty much a form of LST.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm growing. Usually, I'm growing one plant. It's usually a big plant in a grow tent, but uh, they're just solid techniques. I know what the technique does. I know exactly what happens if I top. I'm going to get two tops, right? If you top,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get two tops. It's all about direction, I guess, like where you want that branch to go,
Mm-hmm.
how you want that plant to grow within that tent. When you grow inside of a grow tent, you're dealing with space issues, right? That's one of the main things that you have to deal with is space and temperature and things like that, right? So um, it's not like I have a giant room where I can let this plant grow out
Mm-hmm.
and get really big. So that's why training is so important to me. Um, Also, like training allows you to get the most out of your light because the light's not going to penetrate as deep as the sun would,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're kind of limited by your light indoors, and creating an even canopy will allow more flowers to receive that intense light. I don't know if you've noticed that when you grow and you see the flowers that form underneath the canopy, they're usually airy,
Yeah. They're
or they're
popcorn
light.
nugs.
Yeah, they're popcorn eggs. They're light. They're airy. They don't create as much trichomes or whatever. But the ones on top, those motherfuckers are fat. They're dense.
Mm-hmm.
They create a lot of trichomes. So the one of the goals when training is to try to create an even canopy. So I have all tops,
Mm-hmm.
and so I create
So
more weight that way.
cool. So you do topping, low stress training, and a trellis net. Awesome.
Yeah.
What about, do you have a preference between outdoor or indoor? Like what do you prefer? And I've seen that you have some outdoor plants and also some indoor plants.
Yeah, outdoors is new to
What's
me. I just started doing outdoor.
Hmm.
The sun's crazy. The sun's crazy, man. Like you get some
That's a good statement.
fucking flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the structure of the plant is way different outdoors, and
Hmm.
it has to be the sun. I mean, there's other things, right? There's wind and yeah, but I think it's definitely going to be the sun that's creating those giant flowers and giant stalks.
Hmm.
Uh, but I like growing indoors.
Hmm.
I'm good at it. You know, it's clean. It's
Yeah.
you know, I don't have to worry about dust and bugs. I don't get any bugs in my tent. You know,
Hmm.
outdoors, the biggest issue that I have is bugs.
Yeah.
You know, and the bugs that I'm dealing with are grasshoppers, leaf eaters.
Yeah.
You know, fucking caterpillars and things like that. Uh, but I don't know. I think I prefer indoor
Indoor.
a lot
Even the
better.
flower.
Yeah, well, the flower is a lot nicer looking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know about you grow denser flowers outside, so you know there's like trichomes within the flower. Yeah, I don't know as far as potency goes. I'd have to get that tested, but the flowers are definitely nicer when you grow them indoors.
Hmm. And I know you mentioned, you said I don't get any bugs in my in my tent, and from the videos that I've watched, you use Fox Forest, Fox Farms Ocean Forest, and I also seen an Instagram post that you said, that soil isn't too hot. Uh, According to a lot of people, it is too hot. So,
Yeah,
what
man,
do
that's
you
what everybody keeps saying. I
can you
don't
go
know,
too
man.
deep into that? Like,
Yeah, I'll go real deep into that,
yeah,
man. Like,
because I always get shit for that. Because I make a lot of TikTok videos, and
yeah,
the
I see that
first
shit.
soil that I ever used was ocean forest, and
Yeah,
automatically, boom, yo, shit's too hot for seedlings. You don't know shit. Why are you recommending that? And I was like, bro, I've never had a problem with it,
yeah,
And
yeah.
seeing you say on your Instagram post like, yo, you guys are tripping. I want to know, what's up. Like, why do you think people are saying that?
I think people have bad experiences, and they maybe it could be due to the soil that they bought it from their location or whatever, or maybe it's
Mm,
just something they did. I don't know what's going on there, but I've never had a problem with it. You know, one of the things that I did when I started growing was there's a lot of people that talk, right? Like there's a lot of guys who are like, no, man, you can't do it like that. You got to do it like this, bro. You know, that's wrong, bro.
yeah.
You don't know shit, bro. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's a
bro,
lot of
it's too many of them. There's
people.
so many, bro. So many.
Motherfuckers. Yeah, man. You know, there's a lot of people like that, and they try to tell you that you have to do things a certain way, um, and they never experiment, right? Because they're like, yeah, this is how it is, and you know, I heard it from my friends, cousins, uncle that works for Fox Farm, bro. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
seriously though, like if you were to ask these guys, because I've asked a few guys, I get it all the time. I'm like, where'd you hear that? Yeah, well, my cousin's uncle works for Fox Farm, and he said that fucking this, and that. And I'm like, well, fuck, dude. Like, yeah, like I don't think that's information they would let just go
yeah. They
if they
wouldn't.
had issues, you know, if
And
they were sourcing shit with chemicals or whatever.
hmm,
That's what I heard, right? What I hear is like that it either has bugs or that these foods are doing something where they're adding chemicals to the soil or something. That's the two that I've heard. Is that what you've heard?
that's exactly. I've heard number one. Oh, only use Fox Farm or Ocean Forest if you want gnats or if you want burnt seedlings. And I'm like, bro, I've never had that problem. And I've been to a couple grows. I'm not sure if you've seen any of my videos, but I travel the country and I go look at some of these home growers, and they all start off with Ocean Forest, and their plants are beautiful, bro. And like, I don't know where that rumor comes from. And I also think about, like, you go to any hydro store, what brand are they gonna have right off the bat? They're gonna have Fox Farm, like they always have them. So for them to say that, I don't know. I think it might have to do a little bit with competitors maybe spreading rumors, like,
Yeah, people have
stuff like
agendas,
that.
man. People have agendas. They'll spread
So
rumors, and then the shit'll just catch on, and then you got fucking, you know, fucking Todd spreading more rumors and shit, you know,
yeah, and
and
that's exactly,
that's how it goes.
yep.
But I've been using that shit since 2012, and I've always used it in seedlings. And even back then, they were saying it's too hot. It's too hot for this, too hot for that, and it's never been. The way I thought I looked at it was all right. So Fox Farm Ocean Forest. if you look at the ingredients, they
Mm-hmm.
they give you organic. It lists organic ingredients, right? It's got like back guano. I mean, it doesn't even have high amounts of it, but all the shit's organic, right? And it has to
Mm-hmm.
be broken down at some point. And in order for it to break down, it needs moisture, right? Because bacteria can't exist without moisture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Microbes can't exist without moisture. So the way I see it is, shit, if it's broken down already, then the nutrients are available. They're there. There's bacteria living in there. But if it's not, then it has to break down. It gives me a little bit more time. I don't see how it could be so hot, and that's the reason why I started using it. And I've planted directly with seeds directly into it, and this is 12 years now. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
this
I'm
is.
not saying that this is like hundreds of grows.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I've done it like 3 times.
Yeah, so
It's an ongoing thing.
hell
As
yeah.
far as gnats, dude, I got some gnats this time around.
In this batch of
Yeah,
Fox.
yeah.
Oh shit.
No,
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if it's the batch. I mean, it has
oh
nothing. I mean, gnats exist because there's moisture and there's stuff they can eat, right?
yeah.
And warmth, right? The
Mm-hmm.
temperature and humidity is really gonna what's gonna cause that. Because if you don't have moisture and you don't have humidity, they can't exist. So but my humidity's kind of high this time around, and I got a little bit of moisture, but I put up some traps, those freaking traps, and it got rid of it.
I was gonna ask you, how do you get rid of them? That's honestly one of the most common questions that I get on TikTok. Is like, I have gnats. How do I get rid of them? So you said you put traps down.
Yeah, it's these special little sticky traps, and it just catches them. See, the thing about it is, like, they're easy to kill. Like, if you wanted to use neem oil, you can use neem oil too. Like, it'll kill them quickly. The problem is that they reproduce really quick.
Mm.
So if you kill them, they've probably already reproduced, and that's why they keep coming up. That's the only reason they're coming up. But it's just about killing them off, and hopefully they don't reproduce, and catching the ones that come up before they reproduce.
Okay.
But temperature, humidity has a lot to do with it. So if you keep your shit within the right range, you can avoid that. I've also heard people talk about, I can't even pronounce this shit, diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth? No, I haven't heard about. What is that?
Diatomaceous earth. I can't even say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's some kind of rock
Mm.
or some kind of mineral, but they use it like in chicken coops and shit to keep like fucking bugs off and ticks and fleas and things like that, and that's supposed to work. I'm gonna have to
Interesting.
figure out how to say that, man, because yeah, be fucking
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the things that are used in regular agriculture can be applied to the cannabis plant.
100%, dude. That's the other thing that's all fucking marketing. Like 100%. It's a plant.
Yeah, it's a weed plant. A lot of people think it's some sort of like alien thing, which I have my own views on it, but it's just like it's just like any other plant, and that's one thing my mom always told me was like, it's just a plant. Because when I started growing, I would like be like super careful, and I know you have to be careful. I know you have to be like, you can't be lazy and stuff like that. You got to keep your hair clean, but I was doing it a little bit obsessively. My mom was like, "Bro, it's just a plant, like it's gonna survive. It's not gonna die. Like, just let it do its thing." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And with time, I've learned that in this game, like less is more, and it's true to the truest sense. Is that the less you kind of mess around with it, the better. In my experience, have you had that same experience?
Yeah, I have a saying that I always say
Mm-hmm.
that you don't grow the plant. The plant's gonna grow without you, man. It's been here for millions of years, right?
Yeah,
The only thing that you're doing is you're providing an environment where it can thrive.
yeah.
That's all you're doing.
Oh yeah.
You're not growing that thing.
I like that. What about clones or seeds, bro? I've seen you do both. I've seen you do like the seed to harvest videos, which are obviously your most popular videos. Those things have millions of views. And then you obviously have, I recently started seeing you start messing around with clones. Like, do you have a preference, or you think it's the same thing? Like, what are your thoughts on clones versus seeds?
They're just kind of two different things. I actually started with clones when I first started growing. I started
Okay.
with some clones, but the benefits to clones is that what you're growing, and it's going to be a good cut, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
going to produce a nice plant or whatever. And when you grow from seed, it's kind of like you're kind of gambling a little bit because it's genetics again, right? So if you have like 4 siblings, they're all going to be different. One of them might be athletic and the other one might not be athletic. And the athletic one is like the potent plant, right? The plant with the trichomes or whatever. So it's fun to grow seeds, though. I love growing seeds. I love popping seeds because you never know what you're going to get. That's I guess that's part of the fun. You might find something special, but I don't have a preference. It's just depending on how I want to start it, or I really don't have a preference. I like them for 2 different reasons. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What about, I was going through your Instagram again and I seen you had posted a picture of a nug with like basically not being trimmed, and then you had another picture of like a high times picture with like really, really old school weed, right? Like, what's up? Are you trying to get into that? Are you trying to get into like the no trim look, or what's up with that?
I just fucking woke up one day and I was like, dude, that shit's kind of hard, right? Like, I don't know. It looks kind of dope because those leaves are frosted, right? You can smoke them. I don't know what they taste like because I've never smoked the fucking leaves off of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks. I thought it looked pretty cool. And when you compare it to the flowers from the 70s, the flowers from the 70s look like shit, man. No trichomes on it.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, right? It's the same plant. It's just like it wasn't taken care of. It wasn't dried properly. It wasn't grown properly. So I just, one day I woke up, I was like, man, wouldn't it be dope? Like if you can get those strains from like way back in the day and grow it perfectly and just leave it with that untrimmed look, or just grow whatever you're growing and just have that untrimmed look, to it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like an aesthetic thing, not really something I'm too serious about. Just
yeah, that was just something you woke up with and like, what's up with that? What's up with? I know you right now. You mentioned the curing process. Do you have a certain recipe for how to cure? Like that's another big topic that comes up. People can grow these beautiful plants, and it's happened to me. You mess up the curing, and it's like it's basically worthless almost. But what's your step by step for curing?
So that shit's been evolving for the last 9 years, man. I've been learning things. I've been trying things. It's all about experimentation, right? Because someone will tell you something that'll work, and a lot of people do a lot of repeating too. And I found that if you just do what people say, it usually doesn't turn out the way they say it.
Yeah.
So it's usually about you figuring out what works best for you. But what I found so far is that low temperatures. And a long drying period is what's really worked out for me.
For low temperatures, you're talking about like what are we talking about? Like a range?
Below 70.
Low 70?
Below 70, yeah.
Oh, below 70, okay.
Below 70, yeah. So 65, 70, up 63, something like that. And then the humidity maybe 55. And the whole point of it is to dry slowly, right? You don't want the shit to dry too quick, because there's a few problems that can happen. If you dry too quickly, you get like a freaking crumbly ass weed, like powder. If you dry too quickly, then that's where that grass smell comes in too, because you don't get rid of the chlorophyll, so you get that grass smell. So what's worked for me is a long drying process.
Which would be like how long?
14, 20 days.
14, 20 days. Cool.
Yeah, 14, 20 days, 63 to 70. Keep it around 65, 55% humidity. And I just, there's no circulation fans inside the tent. What I do is I turn my exhaust fan on lowest setting, and that just kind of moves the air around in there.
Cool.
That's what does it. As far as the curing goes, so what you're doing is you're allowing the moisture to evaporate, right, from the flower itself. So when you first harvest it, there's a lot of moisture in the flower on the outside and the inside. It dries from the outside first, and then it's the moisture starts to settle in the middle of the plant or in the middle of the flower, and that's why you need everything to be evenly, in my opinion. So what I try to do is I try to get it as dry as possible. This is where humidity and temperature comes into play, because if it's too hot and if it's too dry, you're going to get the crumbly weed. But if you have moisture in the air, then it doesn't really allow the outside of that flower to get so dry, and it still allows a little bit of evaporation. Uh, but the goal is to get it as dry as possible in the drying cure
Mm-hmm.
time. And then the curing process is just kind of to even everything out. That's my idea anyway. So when I'm curing, I'm just kind of allowing the uh, residual moisture inside of that flower to come out and redistribute among all the other flowers, so they're all evenly moist, or evenly, dry or whatever. Once you get a nice little cure, it kind of mellows out the smoke a little bit too. I've noticed that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I kind of enjoy the sharp fucking taste though. You ever smoke like a flower just before you even cure it?
I have. My last harvest, I just like it was. I chopped it, and I think I gave it like a day or two,
Yeah,
and I couldn't wait anymore. I was like, "Fuck it, let me just hit a bowl," and I hit it, and it tasted really, really strong, but it wasn't bad, and the high was it was similar to like what it would be fully cured.
yeah.
So, I wouldn't say I prefer it, but I do. I've tried it, and it's all right. You know.
You had the opportunity. That's the great part about growing though. Like you
Yeah.
can actually try that shit, in
Yeah.
different stages of its dry process.
Hell yeah, bro. Well, let's get in a little bit into that was all related to growing. I want to get in a little bit into the business side of kind of what you do, bro. So like I know you have trouble monetizing your channel, and I think that's something that a lot of people in this space have trouble with is getting YouTube to cough up some coins, But
Yeah, it's not
how
gonna
do you
happen.
get around it, bro? Like I see that you work with like Blue Planet. I see that you work with Vivo Sun, Mars Hydro, Herb. How do you get around that?
Yeah. So when I started in 2012, you were able to monetize your cannabis channel, right? So at that time, I only had 50,000 subscribers. Well, 2013, 2014, I had 50,000 subscribers. It's been a slow process for me.
Hmm.
Um, so at that time, with monetization, with 50,000 subscribers, I was getting $200 a day from YouTube. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, $200 a month from YouTube. It's not very much money, but I was doing it. I was fucking, I was just doing it for the hell of it. Around 2017, 2018, I don't know if you remember. Do you know this guy named? Do you remember when I think it was Jake Paul or his brother? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that. I know who they are. I think everyone knows who they are
Yeah,
right
everybody
now
knows
with
he
the
is.
shit they're going on.
Yeah. So one of these fools went down to Japan, and there
Oh
was a
yeah,
fucking suicide forest.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So what happened was this fool went down there. He had monetization, right? And he showed like these dead fucking bodies,
Yeah,
and they were showing advertisements on his channel. And whoever the advertiser was, I don't know if it was like fucking Colgate or fucking whoever the fuck it was like, yo, what the fuck,
yeah,
And they started looking into it, and they started seeing like these channels that were like doing like crazy shit. Like I think there was like a Nazi channel that was, promoting, yeah, like
yeah,
crazy
crazy
racist
shit.
shit.
Yeah,
And they were doing like Disneyland advertisements on his shit. And YouTube's like, yo, we got to crack down on this. And when they started to crack down, that's when really they started cracking down on cannabis channels too.
yeah,
They removed monetization. A lot of people lost their channels. There was a lot of old school guys that didn't make it.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I lost a lot of my videos. I actually took everything down. I was afraid they're going to shut me down. I took everything down and started again from scratch. But that's when it stopped. 2017, 2018, something like that. They stopped monetizing. And at that time, I was like, dude, what's the point of this? I didn't have that many subscribers, but then a good way to monetize yourself, because you're going to have to go after it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
YouTube's not going to give it to you. Is Amazon.
Mm.
You know, Amazon links. That's one of them. That's a good way to monetize yourself. Another way is just through sponsorship, right? I'm kind of selective of the sponsors that I take, because I've had lots of people. I get lots of people that offer me sponsorships, and I have to reject them because they don't either fit my channel or I don't believe in the product or whatever. But
Hmm.
that's really the only way, And then now there's Patreon or whatever, but that's the only way to monetize your cannabis related channel, man, or your
That's
content is that.
Bro, that just sucks. I mean, obviously, I already know this, and I still want to create cannabis related content because that's just something I'm passionate about. But it
Yeah,
honestly sucks. Like it just sucks because I've been dealing with my channel on TikTok being deleted.
oh yeah, I tried that.
Like
I saw you on TikTok. I went on TikTok and I tried to set up an account. I
yeah,
uploaded a video and boom,
gone. Yeah,
gone. And
it's
then I
so
looked at your
hard.
shit. You're like potato seeds.
Yeah,
I was like, this one figured it out. That's
yeah,
but that's the way it works though. You
yeah.
got to figure it out because there's certain things that you can do and there's certain things that you can't do, right? Like you can't advertise certain products or you can't say certain things or you can't link certain things. And once you figure that out, then you just got to keep going. You can't let it stop you. If something holds you back, you just got to figure a way around it, just like you did with the potato seeds. You know what I'm saying? That's
Hell yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I was gonna ask you as well. So right now, since you're not making essentially like, I guess you could say no money off your YouTube, like what other ways are you planning on like because you want to do this full time. We haven't talked about this, but I'm not sure if you do this full time. But is that
No.
your goal to like just do this full time? Like with
Bro, if I can fucking grow weed and fucking make videos full time, that'd be the shit, right? I mean, you wake up in the morning and just fucking tend to your
film?
plants and make some videos and shit. Yeah, hell
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, that's the goal. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get there.
Nah, you will, bro. I think like one thing that I always say is like it's a team, bro. Like um you got to get with the right people that are doing similar things and just figure out how to make something work,
Yeah,
because especially if we're going to be doing like YouTube content and stuff like that, like you need to have the right mix of people in your circle to help you figure out how to really like live off your lifestyle because we're pioneers, bro. Even though we don't think it, like no one's done this shit before. No one, like how you said, has ever had a job where like, oh, my job is filming how to grow weed and I live a dank life. Like no one's done that. So that's why it's so hard because we're doing really hard shit. Like, you know?
yeah,
So mm, I totally get it. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough that like I've been able to set up another business, which is my embroidery business. I just do regular embroidery for other companies.
yeah.
That's helped me like basically do that full time, and then on top of that, I like to do the stuff I'm really passionate about, which is the cannabis stuff. But you know,
Yeah, the thing about it is that it also gives you a platform, right? So if you have something that you're doing that you want to advertise or that you want to, promote or whatever, you have that platform to promote it, and that's the major thing.
hell yeah,
So that's a good way of monetizing yourself, on these social platforms or whatever. I got music that I
yeah.
actually
I was gonna get into that, bro. What's
that
up
I
with that
actually
music?
it's all part of it, like I gotta you gotta find. YouTube's not paying me, man, so
Yeah,
you got to find a way around it. And just like you mentioned, that's the way that I found around it. Like I gotta find a way to keep this going, and the way I'm going to do that is by either promoting my music where I can get cents on each play or whatever, but it's something,
that adds up.
whatever. Yeah, it adds up.
I actually listened to that song Sky. I really like that song. And if for those of you guys listening, you guys should go check out Cali Green the Grower on Spotify. He has about like you have what like 7 songs, 5 songs?
No, I just released a new album because of the last grow that I did. So the idea was to every documentary that I film, I'll release a new uh,
New
video.
project.
Yeah.
How do you make your music?
Oh, I've been doing that forever, man. I used to have a little Casio when I was like 7 years old and shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. I've got a Cubase, and I've got some soft synths, and that's how I do it.
dope, dope. And do you ever plan on doing like actual like writing? Like you ever plan on writing music like lyrics and rapping maybe?
No, not really.
More beats?
Yeah, I mean, it was just really the idea is I wanted a soundtrack for videos.
Yeah.
And I figured, like, because you can download free shit, right? Like YouTube gives you lists of music that you can use in your videos, right? But they're
Hmm.
they're kind of, sometimes they're kind of whack
Yeah,
and
for
whatever,
sure.
they don't fit the mood or whatever, and I could do that, right? I could find something I like and I could just play it over my videos. But I thought, like, man, you know what? Let me just do something that's going to actually benefit me in some way, because me using their music's not going to benefit me. Why not just
Yeah.
promote my own shit? And that way
Yeah.
I got another source, or another stream that I can, a possible stream anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about right there.
Dope, dope, bro. Is there any like cannabis company out there that you would like to work with, like like that you've always dreamed of working with, but it hasn't happened? Is there someone out there that you want to work with?
I don't know, man. I'm kind of happy, like, doing what I'm doing. I'm just sitting at home in my room here, and fucking growing weed. I don't think I want to work with anyone specifically.
Hmm.
Uh, I just kind of want to do my own thing.
Oh yeah, that's dope. That's dope. All right, bro. So I actually went ahead and I asked my followers, the official Leaf Gang, the Discord gang, what they wanted to ask you, and I have 5 questions that I'm gonna ask you. The first one they asked was, how do you feel about carts, like weed carts?
I I don't know, man. So I smoke flower.
Yeah,
Honestly, I mean, I bought a few carts because it's one of those things where they're convenient,
yeah,
and you can kind of just, you don't have to roll anything. You just kind of, you have your vape pen, and so as far as convenience goes, I'm good with that. But I prefer flower 100%.
for sure. What about another question was Jesse from Inland Farms. He asked, cubes or soil for growing? Like, what do you prefer?
Soil
Soil?
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm good at. That's what I've been doing for the last 9 years, and I know soil. So
Dope.
it's yeah.
All right. The third one is from El Bull. Who's the top breeder for you?
Top breeder.
And we'll wrap it
Man,
up right now because I'm pretty sure you got to dip out. But yeah, who's the top breeder for you?
I haven't really paid much attention to that, man. I'm trying to do my own breeding.
I was
Um,
gonna get into that as well.
yeah, I'm trying to do my own breeding, but I haven't really paid attention to that. I know there's a lot of guys. I've seen some fucking beautiful flower online, dude.
Yeah.
Some shit. There's this guy I follow. Well, burner shit is sometimes he's got some good shit on his IG. I think it's called Goldiflora.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen them at
You know those
something like that.
guys?
Yeah,
You seen those fucking flowers?
yeah, those shit are crazy.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but there's a lot of guys though. It's not just them.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people out there just doing really good things.
Hell yeah. One guy asked, "How do you win a cannabis cup?"
Oh man, I don't know. I've never been in a competition like that before. I thought about it, but I've never done it.
Okay.
Maybe I
And
should.
then one person asked, "How do you turn your bud uh purple or orange?" Like they see a orange hair, so they're assuming
Okay.
it's orange.
Well, that all has to do with genetics, really. If your plant has the ability to turn itself purple, it's going to turn purple. If it has the ability to create orange pistils, it's going to have orange pistils. There's a way to with temperature to get your leaves and some of your flower to change colors, and that's by lower temperatures. That'll do it. Late stages of flowering, but the best way is just get genetics that are purple genetics, or just orange genetics. Just that's the best way. That's a
Dope,
for
dope.
sure. That's a for sure thing.
Hell yeah. All right, bro. We're gonna wrap it up with what's next for you, bro? Like I know you touched on it really quickly. Like, have you ever created your own strain? Is that something in your
Yeah.
future?
Yeah, I got my own strain right now, but I haven't really. So I've been working on something for like 5 years now.
Damn.
I've got an Afghan Kush that I bred with a local strain. Like I don't know, we don't know what the fuck the strain was, but it smelled like cherries. It had pink pistil,
Oh hell yeah.
and yeah, it looked crazy. Like artificial cherries, almost like Jolly Ranchers cherries.
Yeah.
So I crossed that shit with my Afghan Kush, and I created a strain, and then I back crossed that to Afghan Kush. So I got a Afghan Kush dominant, and I got to search through those seeds and see what I can find. But that's next. After this grow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hydro setup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grow out like maybe 12 to 16 plants,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to pheno hunt. I'm going to find a nice little strain there, and then see if we can do
Do you have
something.
a name for it?
Not yet. The first one, the first generation, I called it Gilligan. I just thought it was a funny name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up watching Gilligan and shit. So you ever see Gilligan's Island? That's
Fuck.
some goofy shit.
I feel like I probably have. I just can't remember right now.
it's like
Um.
a it's like a show from the 70s, but they
Mm,
they rerun them. Like when I was watching, it was a rerun. I didn't watch it,
yeah.
but it's just goofy. It's about like a group of people that get caught on an island and they
Dope.
can't get off this island. But
Dope.
yeah, Gilligan was one of the characters.
Cool. Cool. And are you gonna release those seeds into like seed banks, or is it gonna be directly through you?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I've got some connections. I
Yeah.
might, but I gotta find it first. I mean, I might grow these seeds out, and they might just be whack. I might just
Yeah.
not even want to release them. So we got to see what's going on
Hey
with
man, you
with
gotta
the
let me get
genetics.
some of that Afghan Kush though, because that's something I'm looking for. I want a Kush. I don't have any Kush in
All right, yeah, I
my
got you.
so dope, bro. Well, man, I think we've covered so much things, but I know that you're like an encyclopedia of cannabis, bro. I'm sure you know like thousand more things. So hopefully you come on the show again, bro. And closing thoughts, anything you want to say before we close it up?
Yeah. Check out my YouTube channel, Cali Green. Check out my Patreon, Cali Green 420. My IG, California Green 420. Check out my music, Spotify, Cali Green, The Grower, DA. Duh. I don't know why I did that. That's stupid. Yeah, and if you want to learn how to grow cannabis in your house easily, check me out.
Hell yeah, guys. Well, there you guys have it, guys. You guys have the one and only, the legend, the myth, Cali Green on the Official Leaf podcast. If you guys are new, make sure you guys subscribe, smash the like button, and till next episode, guys. Let's get it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.